Courtney Cox here with Zach Cox at Gillette Stadium. The Patriots getting ready to take on the Miami Dolphins, who had themselves a tough weekend last weekend, taking on the Ravens, losing 59-10. Patriots took down the Steelers 33-3, so a good defense and a tough offense combined. This one might get ugly.
Yeah, this could get ugly on multiple fronts down in Miami this weekend, where the Patriots never really have a lot of success. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games down in Miami, but they've never played a Dolphins team that has this little talent. Honestly, the Dolphins really kind of gutted their roster over the offseason, put head coach Brian Flores, who's obviously a Patriots alum, in a pretty tough spot because the team that he has right now does not have a ton of NFL caliber talent. I mean, they revamped their offensive line. Ryan FITZPATRICK's their starting quarterback now, who's a guy that'll probably win them a couple games through some crazy Fitzmagic stuff this year, but he had a tough time on Sunday. The offensive line had a tough time. Josh Rosen ended up coming in late in the game. He had a tough time, and then we'll get into the defense in a second, but if you let up 59 points, it's hard to take away too many positives from that.
When you look at Fitzpatrick, he was hit 10 times, sacked 3. He's 36 years old. We talk about Tom Brady's age all the time. He's in his 15th season in the NFL. Does that play into effect? What can the Patriots defense kind of learn from watching him on tape?
Well, I mean, the book on Ryan FITZPATRICK has been out there. As you mentioned, he's been in this league for a very long time, and he's a guy, he's a savvy player. He's a savvy, smart veteran, but he's not overly skilled, and as I mentioned, when he's playing behind an offensive line that they lost their left tackle, Laramie Tunsil, a week before the season when he was traded to Houston. So this is not the kind of protection you want to have up front in front of a guy like Ryan FITZPATRICK, who's really not going to win you a game by himself with his kind of scrambling mobility or anything like that. So the Dolphins have really put some of their players in a pretty tough situation, and it's very, very, very difficult to imagine them winning this game this weekend.
You talked about Flores and his close connection with the Patriots. Does he have any insight into what Bill might be doing as they lead into this week? Does that help Miami in a case?
I don't think it could hurt. The fact that they came out with a pretty poor game plan against the Ravens last week, they were really kind of expecting a power-running Ravens team, which kind of makes sense because that's what the Ravens were last year. But I know a lot of the players, according to reports, were kind of salty that it took so long for them to adjust after Lamar Jackson was just basically throwing the ball all around the field during the first half. I would expect them to have a better game plan this weekend just because Brian Flores and so much of that staff down there do have a lot of familiarity with this Patriots team from being here for so long. But you could also look at that in the opposite direction, say Bill Belichick knows Brian Flores as a coach better than anybody, so he should know how to kind of combat that defense. So some former Patriots did have success against this team last year. I mean, Matt Patricia and Mike Vrabel both beat the Patriots last season, but again, I think those teams are both considerably more talented than this Dolphins team.
All right, I'm going to ask the question, will Antonio Brown play on Sunday?
TBD, honestly. I mean, he's been at practice the last 2 days. He was a full participant in yesterday's practice, expecting him to be a full participant again today. He seems to be fully healthy, but it's going to come down to either a league or a team decision. I mean, if he ends up being placed on that commissioner's exempt list before Sunday, then he will not be eligible to play. And even if he's not, then I could see a scenario where the Patriots just wouldn't play him, even if it is more for football reasons than off-field reasons. I mean, you remember last year when Josh Gordon came here, he didn't play in the first game following his arrival. It's been the same with guys like Eric Rowe and Kyle Van Noy in the past. So I would not be surprised if Antonio Brown does not play in this game, but there's also a very real chance that he will.
And sticking with Patriots offense, Miami's defense, what could they have learned after watching them against the Steelers?
Man, this is a rough defense, honestly. The Patriots know some of the names on there. Eric Rowe and Jamal Wiltz, 2 cornerbacks who spent time with the Patriots. They had really, really rough games against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens this past weekend. Eric Rowe allowed 3 touchdowns. Jamal Wiltz allowed 1. Micah Fitzpatrick, who had a good season last year, really had a tough game. I think he allowed 2 touchdowns. This defense overall should have a very, very tough time defending this Patriots offense, even if Antonio Brown is not in there. So I'm expecting a lot of points to be scored on the Patriots side in this game.
All right, well, I won't make you do a final guess for you just because last year's crazy game, we don't want a repeat of that. We don't want to jinx anything, but always great to have Zach here. You can follow along with him on Twitter at Zach Cox Nesson. Keep it on Nesson.com. We'll have all your coverage as the Pats head down south to take on the Dolphins.